Hello everyone and welcome to episode 10 of Coffee and Crochet with Karen. I'm so excited you're here. So excited we've done 10 episodes so far. I just wanted to let you guys know I'm really grateful that you guys watch and listen and comment. And if you haven't commented in the past, comment today. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear from the people who are watching this video. It's been really cold and icky outside. That's why I have a light above me, because otherwise I was going to be really gray today. But I wanted to let you guys know, first of all, this one's going to be a little bit shorter. I'll explain in a little bit why it's a little shorter. But I'm so glad you're here. So glad that we are getting a little closer to Christmas. And I am so excited that you were able to join us. So let's go ahead and get started with what's new. Okay, first thing, that's what's new, is yesterday, Tuesday, the 12th, I dropped the pattern for Vintage Christmas. I don't have it with me. I'm so sorry. But the Vintage Christmas pattern, I'll put a picture here for you, has been dropped. If you are a subscriber to my newsletter, you have a 35% off coupon. If you are following me on social media, you will see, I think I have a 10% off coupon for that pattern. So make sure you check that out as well. Instagram and Facebook. And it is going to be on sale until next week. So make sure you use that coupon when you get a chance. But so that's new in the studio. But I want to show you this new yarn that I just got in the shop. Or not in the shop, it's for me. I wasn't going to buy any more yarn for the rest of the year, but this spoke to me, and so I had to. This is from Pine and Cauldron. Sarah's a new dyer. She's just opened her shop maybe a month ago. She is local to me in that she lives on the west side of Washington. I used to live over there, and I think I've met her in person. I can't remember for sure. But anyway, I've been following her for a while as she's been launching her shop, and then this came up in her feed. Now, I have been looking for a sock set for a project I had in mind that was very moody. And when I saw this, I knew that as soon as it was released, I was going to have to order it. So this yarn is a 75% fine superwash merino wool, 25% nylon. The larger skein is 462 yards for 100 grams, and the mini skein here is 92 yards for 20 grams. And it's fingering weight. It is the colorway Ryan, which I believe she named after her husband, if I remember correctly. But Pine and Cauldron, like I said, is very new. I'm very excited. This yarn is so soft. I already have a plan for this yarn. So stay tuned for that. Like I said, I had this moody pattern in my head, and now I have the yarn for it. Even though it's called a sock set, I'm not going to be making socks with it. So stay tuned. I'm really, really excited about this. And this will be the last yarn I purchase for the year, unless it's something to make a gift for somebody at the last minute. But I'm so excited. If you haven't seen her yarn before, or haven't followed her on social media, I'll put her information down in the show notes, her website and her Instagram. So check that out. I'm really, 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 really excited. Okay, so let's go to current projects. All right, so I've been showing you my grandson's sweater. I finished it last night. I got all the ends woven in. It still needs to be blocked, but I figured I'd wait to block it until after recorded. This is the final sweater. This is the Storm Baby sweater from Petite Knits, and it is so cute. Isn't that the cutest thing? I did the size 1 to 2. Her sizing is different. She's somewhere in Denmark, I think is where she's at. And so her sizing is based on years and, like 0 to 3 months, that kind of thing. So this one is 1 to 2 years. My grandson is going to be 18 months old in a couple days on the 15th. So this should fit him for a little while, at least. I love this pattern. I love the construction. The only thing about Petite Knit patterns that I'm not a fan of is that, first of all, she doesn't have a schematic. And I always like to have a schematic, especially when I'm blocking, so that I can refer to the schematic to get the sizing right. And then the other thing is like for the sleeves, I had to taper them to the armhole, from the armhole to the wrist, I should say. And the charts were written for, I think it was for 16 stitches. And she says in the pattern that we have to decide where the decreases are. Well, she gives us how many rows to do the decreases, but she doesn't tell us in words or in the chart what stitches are going away. So I had to take a little longer to do, especially the first sleeve, because I had to figure out where it was, because I always do my decreases here at the underarm. Most patterns do that anyway, and she even recommends that. But how this diamond shape, where I was going to lose the stitches in this part here, that kind of thing. So it took a little time to figure it out, but once I figured it out, I got it just fine. But this is such a cute sweater. I can't wait to get on the blocking board to see all the stitches just pop. And I can't wait for James to open it. So I'm really excited. Okay, so that leaves me with one last Christmas present, and that's the present. That was the scarf with Sasquatch for my daughter that I had talked about earlier this month, or last month actually. And I was telling you I was going to use that chart from the Doodle card decks with Sasquatch, which I'm still doing, but I don't have enough time to fuss with that. I tried for a couple hours after I finished the thing to figure out the stitching, and I just didn't like the way it was coming out. So this is a stitch. I cannot remember the name of it, so don't ask. This is from Camel Crochet. It's a stitch I teach, and I'll talk about that in a second. But it's looks like stockinette in crochet. I'm using a size I crochet hook. But what I like about this is it's all single crochet and it's reversible. Both sides look the same. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to crochet the entire shawl, and then I'm going to cross stitch Sasquatch on there, and which is kind of cool because my daughter's craft is cross stitch, and I've never cross stitched anything for her, so this will be kind of a cool little thing. I do cross stitch. I haven't done it in years, but I am going to do it for this. So I'm kind of excited to get to that point. But I did this little piece in maybe an hour and a half last night. So I'm hoping that tonight I will get the entire scarf finished, and then by Thursday I will get the cross stitch at least started, if not completely finished on here. And I'm going to probably do a crocheted edging in the same brown that I'm putting Sasquatch on if I have enough yarn, which I should. Cross stitch doesn't take as much as crocheting. And then I'm done with my Christmas projects. So one of the things I'm going to mention about this is I mentioned that this is a camel crochet stitch. Now all of the stitches in camel crochet are trademarked. The trademark is still in effect, and if anybody is out there using those actual names of those stitches in their patterns, they are violating a trademark. So, but part of that is that if we want to use these stitches, because you cannot copyright a stitch, I just have to rename the stitches. And I did release a book called The Savvy Single Crochet with Annie's Attic. It is out of print right now. However, you may be able to find it on on eBay. Sorry, eBay, or Amazon may have it in their marketplace, that kind of thing. It's called the Savvy Single Crochet. I renamed all the stitches. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because this is a class I also teach. It's a 3-hour class. And I've been considering putting it in my rotation for next year as a Zoom class. And so if you're interested in learning 6 stitches that are done all with single crochet, but give you all totally different textures, let me know, because that might be a class that I will offer either in April or May. And it's a 3-hour, like I said, it's a 3-hour class. You learn 6 different stitches. So it's more of a technique class rather than a project class. But if it's something you would like to do, let me know in the comments, or just shoot me an email at comments@KarenWhooley.com, and I will consider putting it on my schedule. I am already considering it, but having people say, yeah, I want to take that class will definitely allow me to think that, okay, let's put that on the schedule this next quarter. So let me know in the show notes, or send me a comment via the email, comments with an S at KarenWhooley.com. I know my S's don't always get on, my voice doesn't always do that for comments. So that's it for projects. Hopefully by next week I'll have this done. If it's not done, or if it's done and it's already wrapped, I will make sure I take a picture of it before I wrap it. But I do need to get that wrapped. So it's going to be done hopefully by the end of this week for sure. That's the goal. So hopefully next week I will be back to working on that pomegranate sweater. And I hope to have at least part of a front there to show you on that project. But that's my next project. It's going back on my hook. So stay tuned. Okay, so let's talk about the topic of the week. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the show that I am going to have a little shorter video this time. And that's because my life has been crazy in my personal life this last week. Haven't had time to even think about what my topic of the week was going to be, especially since we kind of had a series that came to a close yesterday. So instead of doing a topic, I'm going to ask you for some help. A couple of you have already filled out my form, and I'm going to have the link in the show notes to the form, but I need some topics, guys. I can always think of things, but sometimes I feel like I have been crocheting so long that I think, well, everybody has to know that, and they don't. So if there's something you'd like me to talk about, to research, because there are things that keep coming out in crochet that I have never seen before, so I need to do some research, but I can do some research and then impart it to you guys. Leave me either in the comments here, but I would prefer that you use the form and tell me what topic you'd like me to cover. I'd like to keep it to 10 to 15 minutes long, and if I had to record a video for it. But I can do it in series too. So, I can do a part of it one week and then the next week, kind of like I did with the magic knot and the Russian join and weaving in ends and how that all works. So if you have a topic, and it can be anything in crochet, anything, let me know because I could use some help. I do have a couple topics that I'm waiting till after the new year because I do have to do some research on those. And I don't have time this time of year to do the research. So please, 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 please give me some topics. I really would like to hear from you guys. Okay, so we're going to move on from there to comments. Okay, so for comments, I just got 3 last week, so I'm going to read them all. The first one was from Renee Bryant at 9288. And she says, "Hi Karen, I really appreciate your explanation of the magic knot and the Russian join. I've seen short clips on Instagram, but they don't explain these types of joins in detail like you do. So thank you for sharing that with us. Love how your grandson's sweater is shaping up. Hope you have a Merry Christmas." Thank you, Renee. Merry Christmas to you. I'm so glad you're here. And thank you for the kind words about how I explain what I'm talking about. I think that comes from being the daughter of a teacher, the mother of a teacher, the daughter-in-law of a teacher, nieces and nephews that are teachers. There's like teachings in my blood. Even though I'm not a traditional teacher, I teach crochet rather than something else. That's just kind of what I do. My job as a designer is for you to successfully complete my pattern. My job as a teacher is to make you more of a successful crocheter. So when I'm teaching something, I want to give you all the detail that I possibly can to allow you to be successful. So I'm glad you recognize that. And one of my biggest pet peeves, and I'm just going to mention this, is when I see somebody doing a video on a technique or stitch and there's just their hands with music playing. And there's no way for you to ask a question. There's no way for you to say, hey, slow that down. I don't know what you're talking about. And so for me, teaching means actually teaching. So I hope you guys all enjoy that. Okay, my next comment is from Deborah Wortman, 1721. I'm sorry, Deborah Wortman 1712. And she says, I do pray as I knit and crochet gifts for friends and loved ones. I'm also a member of 2 shawl groups, so I pray while working on shawls for oncology patients and lap blankets for residents of the local nursing home. And I think that's so amazing, Deborah, that you are part of 2 groups like that. I used to do a lot of baby hats for our local layette program when I lived on the other side. And I still have a whole stack that I do because in between projects, sometimes I want just some, like a palette cleanser, and I'll make a hat. And I think I have like 12.5 baby hats that I need to find a home for right now. We used to have a layette program that every month they did these bags that they put a knit hat or a crocheted hat and blanket and sweater, and then people would donate diapers and all this stuff. And she would make, it was a good friend of mine who was that headed it up, and she would make sometimes close to 30 bags a month for underprivileged families who didn't have access to purchase all this stuff for their newborns. So that was kind of my charity that I always used to do, but I still do that. It's just I need to find a place to give them away right now. So I have a stack. But I think that's wonderful. And thank you for praying for those people. I think that's so important too, because that's what I do when I'm doing those baby hats as well. And then the last comment comes from Frances F527. This is Frances in New Zealand. And she says, yes, I pray as I crochet, knit, weave, and even cook. I'm sure the recipients won't mind extra prayer for them. I use the plastic coilless safety pin markers, easy to add halfway through a row on my knitting, and can also be used as a safety lock on my crochet hook when it is not in place. I'm pleased I'm not the only compulsive counter. That was me talking about how even though I'm using a counter, whether it's a digital counter or a manual counter when I'm doing rows, I still compulsively count to make sure I have the right number of stitches or the right number of rows. So I'm not the only one. Apparently Frances does this too. Many counting devices, but tend to prefer pen, paper. Notebook in a project bag is a necessity. Love the projects. Blessings. Thank you, Frances. And I am with you on the coilless stitch markers like this. I use this kind. You can find these on clothing. They sell these too as stitch markers, but it's basically it looks like a light bulb, but it's a safety pen style. And when I need to put a marker in and I forgot to, especially for knitting, these are great. But I love these for putting through my crochet loops when I take my hook from one project to another. I always put one of those in place so I don't lose any stitches when I am, moving project bags around. So yes, that's awesome too. Okay, so let's go back to everything else. And I forgot to mention at the beginning of the show that registration is still open for the Stitch of the Month Crochet Along for 2024. For those of you who might be hearing about this for the first time, for the first 9 months of the year, starting January 1st, I will drop a video on the first day of the month of a stitch. And you are going to be making however many squares you need for the size blanket you need. And I give you all the details for all the size blankets that we are going to be focusing on. If you have another size that you want to use, you can do that too. But I give you the counts of how many squares you need for each one of these 3 sizes: a baby blanket, a child blanket, or an adult size blanket. And then on the 10th month, we're going to edge the squares. I'm going to show you how to do that so that they're all uniform, even though they're, even though they're all different stitches, but they're all going to be the same size. So there's some little tips and tricks I'm going to teach you on that. The 11th month, I'm going to show you how to do a braided join so that you can join all those squares together. And then on the 12th month, at the beginning of December next year, I'm going to be dropping a pattern to edge the entire blanket. So if you're interested in that, it's still available on my website. Just go to KarenWhooley.com, and up in the top of the screen where the navigation is, look for Crochet Alongs and click on that, and then you'll see the Stitch of the Month Crochet Along. You can still join us. There's a monthly option and there is an annual option. They're giving you the monthly option so that if you feel like you want to try it, but you don't know if it's going to be for you, you can immediately drop out. But if you are doing the annual, you will have access to the entire program forever. if you do the monthly and you pay for every single month for the full 12 months, you'll have access to everything forever as well, as long as that class is around and my website's around. So that is what's happening too, and I forgot to mention that at the beginning. So registration closes on December 31st, probably around the middle of the day, because I am not going to be awake at midnight when I usually cut things off, and my software I have to shut it off myself. It doesn't allow me to say it started here and end it here. It just doesn't do that. So that's why it's going to end in the middle of the day. So make sure you check that out. And if you want more details, you'll make sure you just go to my website, KarenWhooley.com, and you can get more details on that. Or you can ask me questions in the comments here, or shoot me an email at comments@KarenWhooley.com. So that's it for this week, guys. I told you it was going to be a little shorter. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, a wonderful weekend. Episode 10 is in the can. I'm so excited that you guys are here and you're enjoying this and you're commenting. Please keep the comments coming. If you have a story you want to tell or share something about your crochet projects, I would love to hear it. So have a great week. God bless everybody, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye, y'all.